No, not really.
Okay, you have now officially entered the Enrico Pallazzo Fantasy Baseball Zone, part of the Roto Fanatic Podcast Network. For those of you that don't know, welcome in.
Hey, it's Enrico Pallazzo!
Pleasure to have you aboard. I'm Michael Govier at MJ Govier, G-O-V as in Victor, I-E-R on Twitter, with my co-host as always at CDeary1999. That's Deer as in Dear John. Christopher, it's Wednesday evening here. We got a nice little show. We had a nice opening weekend show where we kind of talked about some of the things we saw, some of the trends that slowly have developed. Anything change in the last 48 hours?
No, I don't think anything's really changed. It's been a blast watching baseball and, getting frustrated with guys that aren't off to very good starts and other guys that are off to these like scorching hot starts. And it's like, I know I got to like calm myself down because we're still only a week into the season. But we'll see if these frustrations continue with some of these guys. Obviously, bullpens are crazy. We talked about it the other day on the pod. There's some guys that I'm really starting to like in bullpens. It's just whether or not they're going to be able to give you some fantasy value. I'm still unsure.
Yeah, I hear you.
That is so fetch.
But I have enjoyed playing DFS. I've really gotten into DFS here, like I said, and it's taking me to a new level of comprehension and understanding. But it doesn't necessarily impact overall fantasy at all. In fact, it might actually negatively influence some of my thought processes and how I view players for the overall season, which is a slight concern of mine, and I got to be weary, and I got to stay focused on that angle.
Yeah, I mean, you're playing daily matchups. It's going to be a little different than what you might think of in a full season. I mean, you're going to play a lot of pitching matchups. And the thing that I think is the most important that you talked about the other day is trying to buy guys very low that could have really, really great outcomes for a great value, which would be completely different than what you would do in a standard fantasy league.
That is absolutely true. There's no doubt about that. I got to tell you, I'm excited, though. We got a great show, another fun day of fantasy baseball talk with me and your pal Chris Deary on the Hey, it's Rico Pallazzo Fantasy Baseball Podcast. We're going to talk about some players to target early on, right now, in keeper leagues and dynasty leagues and maybe a little deeper leagues, but certainly in non-redraft situations for the most part. We had a request from a listener who asked us to do so. And he said, hey, could you help us out here? I really want to know what you guys think. And if you want to know what we think, we're going to give it to you. So shout out to my guy, Alan Sturrett, who has been a big contributor to the show and listener. So we thank you for your support, Alan. And if you want it, you got it. That's how this show works. You ask and you shall receive. So that's that simple. He said, hey, guys, I'm wondering if some point on the live stream podcast, you would be able to share some players that you think are worth trying to acquire in dynasty leagues who could come relatively cheap in trades. Well, that's what we're going to do today on the show. We'll talk about that. Of course, we'll give you some fresh perspectives and leading off about the catch of the day and who benefits. We got a lot of injuries brewing. James Paxton is hurt. He's probably done. And of course, yeah. Is that funny?
Well, yeah, because I sat down last night and I was like really excited. I'm like, all right, Paxton's going to be on the mound. He gets through that first inning. I mean, obviously, I bought really low on him. He's kind of like my SP 5 or 6. But I was starting him last night in one of my leagues, and I got excited. And then I saw that little grimace he had after the pitch, and I'm like, yep, there it is. He's done. What a fucking shocker. James Paxton's hurt again.
Whoa! I am shitting my pants right now.
No way!
Yes way. James Paxton, bye-bye. It's over. But who will benefit? Cui bono. So we'll give you a segment on injuries, including Fernando Tatis. Unfortunately, these are issues we have to deal with. And I'm not here to parse out whether Tatis will be back sooner than later. Right now, he's out. That's all I care about. And I want to give you guys instant analysis. Who can replace? Who will benefit from that situation? That's what we try to do here. Try to be proactive, move forward. So we'll cover some of that. And we're going to talk about the Pallazzo Invitational shortly. We haven't covered that. And we need to dive in. We've got overall standings. I'm going to give you guys all the details so you could be following along all season long. And we're still accepting ideas for the big-ass trophy.
The big-ass trophy.
Yeah, we still are going to... I mean, we could take ideas up until about June or July, and then we should probably start hammering out the details and probably get it done so it'll be ready by the end of the season, right?
I was thinking about a nice little swag box for those that win their just individual league. Maybe a t-shirt, a hat, a koozie.
Ooh, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Why haven't I heard about this? You should have told me.
I just thought about it like right now.
Well, great. Write it down. Don't forget it. Of course, we're recording this,
my
so
marker.
we don't have to write it down. You could just listen to your own podcast and be like, oh, that was a good idea. I'm going to do that.
I can't.
But yeah.
I can't listen to my own podcast.
Why not?
So Christina listens to it all the time. I used to listen just to kind of help myself get better, but I really can't stand my voice. I think I'm annoying.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh,
If my wife Christina is listening to it in the other room, I have to like go outside or like tell her to turn it down.
Will you shut up? Shut up! Shut up!
Something like that. Is that how you feel?
Yes.
Yeah, I understand. I never had that problem because I want to learn from what we're doing. So sometimes I don't really listen to our pods at all, but if I want to pop in once in a blue moon when it goes live on the feed, I will. I'll jump in and be like, okay, what's going on? What do we do? Because sometimes the show's a blur to me because we're just kind of blowing through information, you know?
Yeah, especially with you as the host and when we have like 3 or 4 guests on, I'm sure it just like flies by. I will listen in sometimes just to remember what I said.
Yeah.
and also like I've been going through these Shiner rides, so I've been forcing myself to listen to myself talk.
Okay, well, hold that thought. That sounds like fun. All right, so that's what we're going to cover on today's show. And we got a new song for you. So I'm going to debut that in our leading off segment. I'm hoping you'll enjoy it. I feel like it has a good chance for success. I had this idea about 48 hours ago, and I'm like, oh, that's perfect. It's perfect. It's timely. It fits. And I just can't wait to show it to you. So I'll give it to you guys in about 10 minutes or so. Of course, we got to do some housekeeping, which is what we do on the show because we want to say thanks and we want to give, tributes to those people that deservedly do so. Oh, I didn't even say it yet. Of course, it's a Pallazzo Podcast, 2 L's, 2 Z's.
Utah, give me 2.
Sorry, forgot about that. Pallazzo Podcast at protonmail.com. Pallazzo Podcast, our YouTube channel. Remember, there's no Periscope. No Periscope. In fact, that's part of our housekeeping here. There is no more Periscope, so we're trying to really reinforce that into you guys. YouTube channel, Pallazzo Podcast, 2 L's, 2 Z's. You know how YouTube works. You know how notifications work. So hook us up. It's just trying to help you have access to the show. If you like the live streams. If you're just down with the podcast only, great. Then just keep doing what you're doing. Nothing will change in the podcast format. I want to say thanks to Patrick Ryan once again. He gave me some feedback from his league mates today after they listened to the podcast that him and I did about their league. And woo, man, you have got to have some thick skin for that because, I was honest about some of their teams and their picks. So you have to expect that in return, there's going to be some, return fire. And there was. And that's okay because if you can't dish it and you can't take it, then you shouldn't be doing that kind of stuff in the first place. Let me tell you guys something about that. I learned that lesson when I was a teenager because I used to be I'd say things to people and then when they say something to me, I'd be like, oh no, wait a minute. No, that's not how it works. If you're going to go out there, put yourself out there towards others, then you must be ready for the return fire. So I think that's an important lesson for not just fantasy baseball, for life, right?
I dig.
You dig. Good. Okay. I'm glad you dig on that. Very, very cool. And shout out to everybody yesterday who was very kind. I popped a video out there talking about us having a little bit of an overwhelming day. I was a little frustrated, and I was not really giving my all because I've been sleeping too much. It's so stupid. I shouldn't be sleeping too much. There's too much life to be living. And that was limiting.
How many hours you getting, Mike?
I'm getting like 10 hours at least.
It's too much.
It's stupid. It's really unnecessary. And there's a lot more that goes into that story. But at any rate, I just want to say that I realized it was taking away from my time to be creating and really giving this show the full treatment it deserves. I don't ever want to give a half-ass shitty show. So I really want to thank you guys for the honesty. Donovan Miller, he was really honest about his own reflections that he had. Our buddy Art, Little Cheesecake from the Triple Play crew. He also had a nice little tidbit about, hey, put away the electronics about a half hour before bedtime. And that's what he's been doing. Do you ever do that, dearie, or is that too hard?
Once I get into bed, the phone goes off to the side of the bed. And I don't look at it at all. I'm in bed. I'm enjoying time with my wife. We're going to bed, and that's about it. And then as soon as I wake up, I look at the phone, go outside, and then my day starts. But yeah, my wife and I both have been trying to get to a point where, like, because you get into this problem where you're watching shows or you're watching baseball and you're just on your phone all the time too. when I'm watching baseball, I have my computer there, I have my stat tracker up, and I have like a game on a tablet or something like that. I don't have to have my phone out too as well. I can do that later on at night, checking my Twitter. I can't be fully engaged like 9 hours a day, on Twitter or on my phone. So it's a good time to put it away. Now that the weather is breaking is really nice. It's a great time to go for walks. Leave your phone at home if you can. And if you're just like walking in the neighborhood, leave the phone at home. There's no reason to bring your phone out when you're going for a walk.
That is sage-like advice, dearie. Well done. You're here. I can get down with that. I'll give a little applause for that. Woohoo! Guys, remember that there's only so much time in the day, and every minute counts. It does. It may sound cheesy to you, but the older you get and the more time keeps moving, the more you're going to want to maximize each opportunity that you have. Trust me on this. I know what I'm saying. So, shout out to our buddy Raj Castillo as well. He knows exactly what it's like to burn the midnight oil and have too many things going on at once. Roger, we're going to catch a Tigers game soon, my friend. As soon as I get that vaccination, it's going to go down. I cannot wait for it, Mr. Castillo. Very, very excited. I'd love to have an opportunity where me and Deary and Marty and you and Chris, Chris Brown, we could all head over to the Comerica Park. Watch those Tigers.
We can watch the Tigers score 2 to 3 runs a game and not have a chance to win. They can't score, man.
Oh no,
they can't score. They ran themselves out of the game today. I was so pissed.
Yeah, that's it's Kenta Maeda though. I just expected that Kenta Maeda would get the job done, and he did. Thank you for my fantasy team, Kenta Maeda. I appreciate that. Made me feel a little better about not keeping Corbin Burns in my home league, so which I'm still having second thoughts about. But
we all make mistakes.
Yeah. Well, no, Kenta Maeda's on a good team, so come on. I'm not going to freak out.
You can't keep everybody.
Well, I literally could have kept Burns and not
who'd you keep instead?
Maeda. I kept Maeda. Oh. That's the deal there.
Okay.
I still don't regret it necessarily. It's too early.
I think you're fine this year. I think Maeda gets more innings. I think
that's what I thought.
Maybe he doesn't get as many strikeouts, but you saw what he did today. No. He's going to work the ball around the zone. He's going to induce ground balls. He's going to go 6-7 innings. I mean, we've seen what we're going to get from Burns. He's going to strike out a lot of guys. I don't know how many times he's going to pitch into the 6th.
I just want it to be clear that maybe the innings pitched issue with Burns was overhyped a little bit because his first start, he went 6 innings and Maeda went 4 1/3. And I was like, shit, it's the exact opposite of what I thought might happen. So it's a long way to go. I'm not going to panic. I just want to be weary of what we see before us and adjust on the fly so I'm not behind. I don't want to fall behind, dearie.
Jesus Luzardo pitched 104 pitches today.
Holy Testicle Tuesday. Good.
I'm like, I'm in a quality start league and I have him and I'm like, he fell apart in the first 2 innings, but only gave up 1 run. He had like 50 pitches through the first 2 innings. And, it's the 5th inning. He gets through the 5th. I'm like, all right, okay, well, I'm not going to get a quality start. And then he rolls out for the 6th. And I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then he walks the first 2 guys and Melvin pulls him at 104.
It's the Dodgers, man. You got to be careful. You can't. Don't fuck around. Don't make that mistake. Don't get caught up. Luzardo is a guy that I drafted in the Glarf League. Shout out to my Glarf crew over there, the Great Lakes Area Roto Fantasy League. And it's a quality starts league, though. So it's a little risky taking Luzardo. But hearing the fact that he went 104 pitches is exciting.
Yeah, I mean, he would have made his way through that 6th if he didn't walk the first 2 guys. And then a left-handed bat was coming up, but Melvin's just like, oh, dude, you're at 104 pitches. I don't think we can go any further with this. So they yanked him.
Yeah. Oh, my God. The A's are terrible right now. They're so...
You can't hit.
They are... Oh, did they lose today? Is it final yet? I didn't know if...
It was in extra innings when I came downstairs to get ready for the pod.
Well, they're 0-6 as of today.
So they lost. They just lost.
Wow. There it is. Damn it. This fucking team's... This is their worst start in franchise history, by the way. The last time they were this bad, they had 36 wins. This is back in the 154 game schedule, so it wasn't... At the time, it was one of the worst teams ever. 36 wins, 119 losses.
Matt Olson's got knee issues now. He sat out today.
Matt Chapman hit a home run, though. That's fun.
Oh, today he did?
Yeah.
That's good.
And Ramon Laureano came back very quickly, which what we thought was going to be a more serious injury over the weekend. He's on my tag team league with Eric Cross, and we didn't play him this week. It's a weekly setup.
Yeah.
Because we thought he was going to be hurt, but he said 2 steals already this week? I was like, shit!
He stole 2nd and 3rd today, like back-to-back.
That's 3 steals then this week. Wow. Yeah. Damn it. See, that's what I'm talking about. Welcome to hell. We're in we're in a tough spot here, Al. I'll tell you what. But that's okay.
Weekly leagues are just very tough, especially with these, minor bumps and bruises that these guys are getting, and you just don't know if it's going to turn into a Tim Anderson who ends up on the DL or someone who's just going to be out for a couple days. I'm waiting for Michael Brantley to come back. It could be tomorrow, it could be next week.
Tomorrow. Okay, well, that's cool. There's a lot to talk about, so why don't we get serious here, cut the shit, and get into what... Oh, but by the way, we are part of the RotoFanatic Podcast Network, and I always want to push our material on rotofanatic.com. We got new articles up. Come on by, say hello. Phil Goyette's latest Climbing the Rookie Ladder is now available, and we want you guys to experience it. So don't miss out on it. Phil's a smart guy who, again, will be on the show very soon. He talks about Akil Badu, Jonathan India, Kyle Isbell, Tucupita Marcano. Tucupita? Do you know Tucupita Marcano?
Who?
Tucupita. It looks like Tusupita. Tucupita Marcano.
Hippolito?
Tusupita. Tusupita Marcano.
Dude, I don't know, man.
That's what I'm talking about. This is the kind of shit Phil knows.
I can't know everything, man.
I know. You can't know everything, but
tried.
Phil knows a lot about it. That's my point, though. Go check out Phil's article on rotofanatic.com. I am a part owner of the website, so if you like me, you'll be supporting me by going to rotofanatic.com. That would be really wonderful. I would appreciate that. All right, let's get into leading off, Al. Woohoo! All right, Deary, I want to talk about the Pallazzo Invitational. Have you been on there and looked at the standings? Did you realize that you had access to this or not?
Yes, I look at it every day along with my TGFBI and my Res Slam. I look at it every day. I got it pulled up right now.
The overall standings?
Yes, I am in 35th place.
Wow. See, I actually messaged Derek, who runs the NFBC, this morning. I'm like, hey, Derek, how can I take a look at the overall standings of the Pallazzo Invitational? Because somebody hit us up about 5 days ago, a week ago,
yeah,
and they wanted to know what the scoop was. And I really wish I wrote down their name. This is going to sound bad, but we get too many notifications, so they get buried. Oh. And the further time goes, your notifications they're not like organized by people. I really wish Twitter would consider reorganizing notifications by the person so that you could like click on them and have the notifications related to them and know that it's them. Otherwise, it's just by time. And I don't know who it was who asked about it. If you listen to our show and you're involved in the Pallazzo Invitational, hear us now. Overall standings are available right on NFBC, right on the site. Right, Deary?
Yeah, just go to your My Teams, go to your league, and that'll bring up your standings. You can go to your league standings, and there's a tab up on the right. You can go to overall standings.
How about that, Al? So you're in 35th.
I'm down there for 35th out of 60. So I'm in the middle of the pack. I think I'm 8th in our league, and it looks like you're in 20th place overall, Michael.
20th place. That's not bad. I'll take that. It's really early, so I'm not really worried about it. I mean, we got a long way to go.
Tribe has spoken.
But for now, remember that you can go in there and you can see exactly, because there was some people who are newer to NFBC and they just don't know yet. So I want you guys to be able to do that. So I'm going to show you right here on our live stream. For those of you who listen to the podcast, you'll have to follow along with our verbal words to understand it. But this is how it works. So you go to NFBC and it starts loading up. See right here, there's this whole section where you can click on the arrow.
Does this remind you of being a teacher back in the day?
I guess. I hadn't thought about it like that, but yeah, I guess it kind of is. So you can go to standings overall. This is the deal. So click on standings overall, and it'll take you to your league. Now, I have a bunch of leagues on here, main event, blah, blah, blah. But here's the Pallazzo Podcast Invitational. And voila, Andrew Poplin. Congratulations to Andrew Poplin.
You are the winner 6 days in.
His team, the London Bridge is Falling Down, is in first place by a healthy margin. 512 overall points. You can see here on the right, overall points. That's how this is. People were wondering, hey, how are we going to know who's in first, who's overall? This is it right here. We have it organized on the website. It doesn't take any extra work on our part. We don't have to create a Google Doc. We don't have to have a spreadsheet and put all this information and export it. We got it right here. It's perfect.
Do you have access to click on anyone else's team in the overall to look at what they got?
I certainly do. Here we go. This is Mr. Poplin's team. He's got Will Smith and Jorge Alfaro. Will Smith's been on fire so far this season. Really good choice there. Other players that stand out. Not a lot of these are some solid guys, but nobody who's been mind-blowing on his batting side too much, right? I mean, Jeff McNeil, Carlos Correa, Gavin Lux had a nice weekend in Coors.
That would be just for this week. What you can do is you can scroll up and go to year-to-date. There you go.
Boom!
That'll give a little more accuracy to how well his team is doing.
And we can look at his league standings by clicking on this button up here where it says league standings. So we go to the league. Oh, wait a minute.
No, that shows your league. Yeah, I'm not sure you can go in and find his league.
Okay, fine. So you can't look at everyone's individual league, and that's okay. Sometimes that's how life works. But bear with me here as I get back to the standings. Okay, so here we go. This is my team, by the way. I had Will Smith as well. So me and Andrew Poplin share something in common. Will Smith catchers. Gary Sanchez. Who else here is of note? Nick Senzel scored 8 runs this week. Look at.
Well, the Reds are just bombing the ball everywhere, man. Tyler Naquin, one of the greatest streams in like history. If you picked him up yesterday, 2 home runs last night, a home run today. I know several people that picked him up, and they're cheering themselves and patting themselves on the back today.
If that lasts, I'm gonna shit myself. I'm not gonna buy into that. It's a nice little run here, but no way, man. No way. Cleveland gave up on him after all that.
I just shit my pants.
I'm not buying it. It is a nice ballpark to hit in, though.
I agree. I mean, he led off the last 2 nights.
Well, here's a fun one here. This has been a nice pick for me. The Nate Lowe pick has been returning massive numbers early on. This week alone, 2 home runs. He even stole the base. I talked about this in the preseason, and I think some of you guys made fun of me. With you and somebody else was on with me, and you're like, Mike, he's not fast. But I'm like,
I did not say that.
I'm telling you, this episode happened. We were there.
I did not say that.
Well, the other guy did for sure. I'll have to double check with you. I'll give you a pass for now. But
I haven't said much about Nate Lowe because you were telling me last year that he could steal 10 bases.
Yes, this was a lifetime ago. This was like even before the new year. This was last off-season, preseason. But anyways, yes, he's got a steal, and that's fun. So Shohei Ohtani's been fun. And my pitching, Kyle Hendricks, he's good at times. Chris Bassett, trash. David Peterson, I don't know about that. Although he did pitch today. And the Phillies are kicking the Mets' ass. So that's probably going to be negative returns on that.
Yeah, he got bombed today. I think Hendricks pitched well today. Yarborough went today. Seemed like he was okay. Strasburg was really good today.
Yeah, so anyways, so you can see everything you want to see. Remember, you go to standings, you click overall, and then you can keep up to date on all the players. Like we said, I'm in 20, Deary's right here, in 35. Let's look at Deary's team. Deary, we'll do year to date. We'll check in on how you've been doing overall. JT Realmuto, that's a great pick. 6 RBIs already. Nice little start to the season. Man, 3 home runs for Marcus Semien and 2 steals. That's a fine choice. You must feel good about that.
Yeah, he's been nice. That was a nice kind of later round pick. I'm waiting for Michael Conforto to get together. He should get it together. He struck out with the bases loaded today. He left a ton of guys on base last night. Rhys Hoskins has been nice. 10 hits, 6 runs so far.
Yeah,
but yeah, offense is kind of a little all over the place right now. I did have Eloy Jimenez, who obviously is on the DL. Ryu had a good outing today. We'll have Bueller a little later on.
Chris Paddock didn't look so good his first start, but it wasn't god awful, but the whip was high. You got 1 save from Hector Neris. Congratulations. He looks to be the guy who's probably closing right now. Emilio Pagan, are you going to think about dropping him, or are you going to hold tight? 2 wins is nice.
Well, see, that's the thing. He seems to be pitching every other day, and he's coming in the 8th inning. And there's been a couple times where the Padres have had close games. So, I mean, we'll see. Melanson has been really nice there. I think Pagan will have an opportunity to get some saves. I'm going to like the ratios he gets, but we'll see at the next, go around here if there's anyone else I'm going to go in on and switch him out for.
And you got Andrew Knapp. That's a nice pick. I think he's not going to play every day, but he's going to give you some opportunities where you might plug him into your lineup depending on the week, especially if something happens to Realmuto, which is very smart on your part. Very smart. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it. I'll stop there. Just remember that this season goes all season long, and the trophy is still up for grabs. And the trophy we're going to create, we're accepting your bids, I don't know, your thoughts, your ideas, your concepts, please send them to us on Twitter. You can DM us at Pallazzo Podcast, 2 L's, 2 Z's, or you can email the show, Pallazzo Podcast, protonmail.com. Okay, so Andrew Poplin, good luck. By the way, my guy, Richard Sands, I'm a big fan of Richard Sands. He's in third place, so good job, Richard Sands. Keep it up. You're right there in the mix. Dead last, should we even say who that is, or is that uncool?
No, it's fine, man. It's not like we're gonna rip on him. We're 6 days in. He could end up at first place. Who's in dead last?
Brian Jones. Oh no, it's our guy Virginia Wino.
Oh no, yeah, that's okay, man. He's having a good time drinking those awesome beers down there.
For those of you that don't pay attention, Virginia Wino's he's been tweeting at us a lot over the last 10 days since opening day started with his various beers and selections of brews. He's a big fan. He's got a good taste, doesn't he, Deary?
Yeah, he's got some great stuff. He tweeted out a picture to me, some stuff that I really need to try.
See, that's what I'm talking about. So we're rooting for you, Brian. You'll get out of the cellar. But right now, you do love wine, so maybe you enjoy being in the cellar. Ha ha!
That's good.
Thank you. All right, now it's time for our catch of the day. I love fish, don't you? God, I miss Maryland.
Good. Our first catch of the day.
Today's catch of the day is our hometown guy, Akil Badu, who, by the way, is from Silver Spring, Maryland. Did you know that?
I did not know that. This guy's all over the place on Twitter right now.
He's huge, right?
He sure is.
Everybody's talking about it. It's not even a Detroit thing. He's just everywhere on Twitter. He's the guy.
He's been fantastic. A couple walk-offs, had a nice little triple today. And yeah, he's given some people some value. And I've seen a lot of questions out there. Do I pick this guy up? Is he valuable to give me returns for the rest of the season?
Well, I'm really excited about it. I think he could really provide some incredible returns here. And there's something about Akil Badu. He's got that it factor. So I want you guys to listen to a new song I've created. This is a tribute to Akil Badu and the tremendous amount of work he's doing. Let's give it up for Akil and listen in. Because it's going to be a lot of fun. Number 60 on the Detroit Tigers. Don't think me unkind. Rule 5 picks that stick are hard to find. From Chris Shelton to Reed Garrett, these once promising names litter my mind. When the Tigers selected this year, their logic suddenly became crystal clear. Akil Badu, his father's from Ghana, is all I want to say to you. Akil Badu, hits walk-off winners, is all I want to say to you. And Akil Badu inspires us all, is all I want to say to you. Akil Badu, rookie of the year, is all I want to say to you. All right, that's it. That's the Akil Badu song. So I really thought it was just perfect. It fit just right.
You want a little bit of advice?
Yeah.
Cut the play-by-play on it.
The play-by-play?
Yeah, the play-by-play in the background.
You heard the play-by-play?
Yeah, in the background, yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah, there's like announcers in the background talking. And you don't hear
You're
that?
shitting me. No,
Yeah.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
What was it?
I don't know.
You shitting me?
No, not at all.
Who are these announcers?
When you were recording, did you have like another game on in the background or something?
I didn't hear that at all. Shit.
Yeah. So I had a
Okay.
hard time like hearing what you were singing, and then it went away for like the last I don't know, 20 seconds or so.
Well, that's mind-blowing. I just did that on the fly before we went live.
Okay.
Brian Rodgman, he loves the police. Yes, of course. Who doesn't love the police? Shit. Boy, I don't know how that sounded to you guys, because I can't hear it except what I'm hearing down here. I heard the song, but boy, I'll have to listen to that after the fact. I'll have to go back into the shop and review that, because there's supposed to be no play-by-play. It's just supposed to be a song.
Oh yeah, see, I thought you added like play-by-play in the background, but like it was all muffled, and I couldn't like hear it compared to like you singing and then like
Son of a biscuit.
obviously the Amazing Police song.
Man, what happened there? I'm baffled right now. Absolutely baffled,
Well,
folks.
good.
I apologize.
Check in later on it and see if you can hear it. Maybe it's just me going through my headphones. Who fucking knows?
I don't know anymore. I'm really lost.
I'm baffled. The old baffler is back.
Man, that really threw me for a loop. Shit. Sorry, guys. Sorry, everybody. All right. So anyways, yes, Akil Badu is a lot of fun right now. Really enjoying him. He's got a lot of flair, too. And he comes up in clutch moments, which is fun. I mean, grand slams, walk-off winners. It's pretty cool, man. Do you think in a month from now he'll still be on the team?
Oh yeah, he'll be on the team. It's just whether or not he's getting everyday at bats and he's going to be able to keep a nice average, like, you know, anywhere from like 275 to like 300. I mean, obviously this guy was a pretty big time prospect for the Twins. Only made it to A+ ball. And he had a pretty decent year in A ball when he was only 19 years old. He's only 22 years old now. Rule 5 pickup for the Tigers, and he could start getting regular at bats for the Tigers right now. It's not like their offense is exploding. They have a ton of other options, but they pushed Christian Stewart down to, you know, the training site and kept Akil Badu on this team, and he has come through in the clutch so far. I think if you want to ride that hot train and he's available in your league, go right ahead. This guy's got some speed. He's got some power. He showed a really nice at bat today against Kenta Maeda when he hit a triple up the gap and really just jetted around those bases fast. So my thought process right now is if he's available, go ahead and pick him up, because I think he might be able to give you some short-term value. And this is how you win leagues, is you find guys that go on streaks that can be streaky for anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks. And hey, maybe he ends up sticking around for a little more than a month, and maybe ends up being a full-time guy for the rest of the season, ends up in that rookie of the year talk. We've seen this happen before. So hey, in the constant right now, go ahead and pick him up.
Yeah. I wonder if he's going to be there. I always think about Chris Shelton and his wonderful April back in 2006, and then it disappeared. 10 home runs in April of 2006. Long gone now.
But guess what? In a head-to-head league, Chris Shelton probably won a couple weeks for you.
That's true. That's very true. Akil Badu is also... It's not like there's a lot of playing time available. That's the one big concern here. There's a lot of guys in that outfield right now. It's a real mess. And the competition is fierce. So that's my biggest fear with him, being able to stay on this team long term. But if it cost you nothing and you picked him up on your free agent wire, or you put a fab bid in for $1, who cares? And if it doesn't work out anymore, in low risk situations, it doesn't matter. But if you are actually investing, I mean, what would be a more high risk situation? I'm trying to think of one. I don't know. I
mean, the situation that you're in where you're picking them up, you're putting a fab bid in for really cheap, or you're in a situation, there's a lot of injuries right now. And, you know, I'm in several head-to-head leagues where I had to throw guys on the IL and pick up guys like Badu, guys that are streaking right now. And that's how you're going to win leagues, is you need to be able to make moves on the fly. I don't think you're dropping an everyday guy for Akil Badu. He's left-handed bat. He's not going to bat against lefties, I imagine. I think he batted 6th or 7th today against Maeda, so that was really good to see. He got the start, came in pinch hit yesterday. You know, that's been the thing. I think we've only seen 2 starts from him so far, so it'll be interesting to see what Hinch does moving forward.
Hinch, hey Hinch, what you doing, man? Hinch, I love Hinch. I know Hinch gets shit on. The rest of the league, Houston cheated, but I think Hinch brings a real cohesiveness and respect. He won a World Series. I don't care. Even if they cheated, you can't just win a World Series by cheating. Trust me. They barely won that series anyways. It was a Game 7 against Yu Darvish and the Dodgers. It was very close. So I don't know. And they almost won another one. They had some other great teams. They're still good. They're still a good team. It must be weird for AJ Hinch to look over in Houston and be like, man, that team's still good. Shit. You know,
well, he's got his ring, and I think he's in the perfect situation in Detroit because there's really no pressure.
No, there isn't, and there's a lot of young talent. No doubt about it.
Including Akil Badu.
Badu. I love you, Badu. Okay, let's find out who benefits.
Yeah, but cui bono, who benefits?
Injuries happen. Someone benefits, unfortunately. We don't like to think about it. We only want to think about good times, noodle salad, all that jazz, but that's not life. If you want to stay on top, you want to win your leagues, and you want to know that you're making the right choices, then you got to start facing realities. Fernando Tatis, shoulder. Subluxation. How do you say that word? Subluxation?
Yeah, I think so. Sounds about right.
Subluxation. Anyways, he's out. I don't care what they're telling you. In fact, somebody had a great tweet. I wish I could give them proper credit for it. They said, Padres are not going to tell you that he's out for the season because they want people to stay involved. They want people to keep buying tickets, season ticket holders, shit like that for next year. I don't know. No, that's a really smart tweet because we need to think. That's how these teams think. They're thinking like a business.
Yeah. It's the face of the organization. They want to get butts in the seats, but they also just signed him to a massive contract, so they want to keep him safe.
Hold on to your butts.
There it is.
That's funny. You said butts. That worked perfectly. Okay, so Fernando Tatis, who do you think benefits out of this situation right now? Haesung Kim or Jurickson Profar? If you had to choose between the two, who would it be?
It's difficult. I know you're all about Kim right now. Now they're
Profar.
I mean, right now they're both in the starting lineup because Grisham is out. Grisham might be coming back here in the next week. I got to see more from Kim just because he's coming over from the KBO. Obviously, just murdered the ball over there. Really nice walk rate, showed some power with some speed. He's only had 12 plate appearances so far. He hasn't done much. He's gotten a few hits, but, he's batting near the end of the order. I think Profar's kind of in the same situation. But I like that upside with Kim. I mean, we've seen Profar over the years. We know what we're going to get from him, kind of a streaky guy who can have some really solid at-bats. And then there's times where he just completely falls apart. I think Kim is maybe the smart move right now because I think he might give you more upside moving forward.
Oh, okay. All right. I don't... Kim signed a bigger contract, although they signed Profar 3 years, $21 million. And Profar was sneakily good last year. He started out horrendously, but he really turned it on in the last half. I don't know how you define a half of a season that had 60 games in it. That was very short, but I know that he really ended up with a decent batting average in the 270s, and he had 8 steals or so. So
he had 7 home runs too.
Yeah, if he has the opportunity, he can make things happen on that team that with a ton of RBI and runs and other opportunities in a lineup that is still very taut, very strong, with Hosmer and Will Myers and Manny Machado and so on and so forth. But if Haesung Kim's going to get the lead off and be at the top of that order, I like him more. I think in Dynasty, I'm absolutely taking Kim because I want to have the guy that I can hang on to because I think the profile is still very, very positive, and he's only 25 years old, and he could opt out of that contract, so he wants to earn his money and make it happen. So that's how I see that. Dynasty, Kim. In the immediacy, flip a coin on Profar and Kim. I don't think there's a big difference at this moment.
I think when Grisham comes back, they probably rotate. Profar's a switch hitter. Kim's a right-handed bat. And maybe they just play the guy who's hot at the moment.
That's true. Grisham's going to be coming off the IL in a couple of days, right? This week?
I believe the 11th was his estimated time. I can't remember. I looked at it the other day.
Oh, okay. Well,
I don't know everything.
Well, he's going to be activated before Friday's game, so yeah.
No, excellent. That would be the 9th.
That's the expectation, according to Kevin Acey on Twitter, Padres beat writer for the San Diego Union Tribune. There you go. That's proper attribution right there. That's how you do it. Next up, Mendick. This might be pointless to some of you, but...
Yeah, but cui bono? Who benefits?
We got to do it. Denny Mendick or Lurie Garcia? Who would you rather have with Tim Anderson being on the IL with a bogus hamstring? Which really sucks because I really touted Tim Anderson as a possible MVP candidate this year. But of course he gets hurt. He always gets hurt.
Total bummer, man. You gotta hate when the guys like that, especially if you picked him, because this is the highest he's ever been drafted in the league, and now he's already done five days into the season. He's on your DL. I got one league, I got him, and I got like 4 other guys on the DL. It's a mess already.
That sounds really depressing.
So we got Mendick and Garcia, huh?
Yeah. I just did this technically. I really could care less. I really don't want either of them. But
I wish Zach Collins could play shortstop and they could play him and Grandal every day.
You're mine, Mercedes and Zach Collins. Maybe we can get Mercedes there at shortstop. What do you think?
It'd be great.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun. I'm totally down for that. Good luck with either of these. Mendick and Garcia are weak-ass bats. There could be some steals in the mix, so if you're looking for some steals, whatever. But if you're having to resort to these guys right now, good God, I feel bad for you, and I hope that you're in like an AL only league or like a 30 team full size MLB team with massive rosters, dynasty 50 keepers, something like that. That's the only way that this should be happening.
I don't know why we're bringing it up.
Just for the record,
you just wanted to say Mendick.
I really didn't think about it like that. I wanted to make sure that these players, which are pointless in my view, but maybe they may be of need to certain rosters and certain types of leagues. We try to service everybody on this show. Hey, it's Rico Pallazzo, Fantasy Baseball Podcast.
Hey, it's Enrico Palazzo.
Don't forget, Pallazzo Podcast, 2 L's, 2 Z's.
Utah.
Follow us.
Give me 2.
We love getting information, feedback, and connection with you guys. It's a true story. All right, on the Dodgers, Bellinger's still out. He's not on the IL yet. And then Mookie Betts set out today with a stiff back. I'm not as worried about that. The Bellinger issue needs to be resolved. Like, he needs to either go on the IL in the next day or so, or he's coming back. But if he's not, you got Chris Taylor, and then you got Mr. McKinstry, who's been really pretty damn good. And I kind of missed a boat on McKinstry, but I think he's pretty damn talented. And I definitely would prefer McKinstry to Chris Taylor. But Chris Taylor has more positional flexibility if you're looking for that in your lineup.
Yeah, they had McKinstry in right field today. This guy, to be honest, I had never heard of. I have his fan graphs up right now. He's a guy who has been able to hit for a pretty decent average. Not a ton of power. He is still pretty young. Doesn't strike out a lot. Decent plate discipline. I would probably scoop up Taylor over him just because Taylor has the pedigree of being in the league longer. He's going to give you some power. He's been a very clutch hitter for the Dodgers. But keep an eye on this McKinstry guy, because if he starts to break out and goes on one of these little runs, and maybe Taylor gets a hiccup, and maybe he can't be in there every day. And we've seen the Dodgers do this over the years with a guy like a Kiki Hernandez, where they just kind of maneuver guys around and they'll play the hot bat. So if this guy can get hot, seems like he played pretty good defense when I was watching that game today. I don't know what you're going to get power wise. So right now it's Taylor, but maybe keep an eye on McKinstry, especially if the Dodgers continue to have these injury issues.
I was not as familiar with Zach McKinstry myself, but some other people I respect had put out some tweets and shared some information about him earlier on, and people that I respect, like Rob DiPietro, talked about McKinstry being a nice little player who would fit perfectly on a draft champions roster, a 50-round draft and hold, that kind of concept, and that makes a lot of sense to me. Deeper leagues, deeper rosters, but right now he's moving into the forefront. Chris Taylor has a pedigree. Yes, Deary, you are correct in that assertion. But I like what McKinstry does. His max exit velocity is not incredible. It's not like he crushes the ball. But like you said, he doesn't strike out. And his sprint speed is, it's 3/4 of the percentage above most others. So if he gets you some steals, scores runs, and kind of fills the void until Bellinger gets back, I think I like McKinstry ever so slightly. But I think Taylor could hit for more power.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with Bellinger. It's a calf-ish injury, which is like really frustrating for a guy that, is going to play outfield, or he's going to be at first base and he's stretching, and, you need your calf if you're going to hit as well. So hopefully we find out the next day or so if he ends up on the IL.
All right, last one. With the news that James Paxton has gone bye-bye. We mentioned this at the top of the show. We talk about it. Who benefits here? Who is the one that will take the opportunity and run with it? Chris Flexen I'm mentioning, but he was already in the rotation. I just like this to re-solidify his position because I already liked him. And like I said, he had a nice outing over the weekend, Saturday night, against the Giants, shutting them down for 5 innings, 6 Ks. But the rotation spot is technically up for grabs. So Nick Margevicius has looked good in spots, throwing some gas. And then they brought up a guy today, Lee J. Newsom, who's from the minors, alternate site. So I think Nick Margevicius is the guy to target here who could actually, if he could be stretched out, I kind of like what he does. Am I crazy?
No, because I thought he actually looked pretty nice when he came in last night. 6'5" lefty, kind of has that same, frame that our boy Paxton has. I don't know much about this Newsom guy that you mentioned. Now, Margevicius is not a guy who's going to blow you away with his fastball, but he's going to offer like 4 or 5 different pitches. Had a really nice curveball that I saw the other day, and slider that, it's going to be, especially that curveball, it's about 17 miles per hour less. It's one of those like looping curveballs. Also has like a splitter and a changeup that he's toying with. So I think he's the guy that gets the run here. Obviously, like you said, Flexen's already in that rotation. Flexen, he was in the KBO last year and had a some success. So I think Marjavicius could be a guy, maybe a nice streaming option in a head-to-head league, depending on who they may be going up against next game. But yes, they're going to have to stretch him out a little bit. I think he came in for 4 innings last night, which was pretty good. So we'll see. Keep an eye on him moving forward. Guy has, a big frame. Had problems, the last couple of years when he was in San Diego, and then last year with Seattle with the walk problem. But we'll see. We'll see how he can, come back and, if he gets a start next week and see what he looks like.
Bye. And with Justin Dunn having, I think Justin Dunn walked 8 today.
Correct.
That's really not good at all. I think that just gets us one step closer to Gilbert time. That's right, Logan Gilbert. That's the name you really want to have. If you're in a dynasty league, you already have him, so he's not available. But in redraft leagues, Logan Gilbert, if somehow he's on your waiver wire, or you could put a fab bid in, that's the guy who will really take the reins here. I think this is just another opportunity that puts us one step closer to Logan Gilbert coming up by the end of April.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. I mean, if the Mariners are going to be competitive at all this year, I mean, we're going to have to see some of those kids, and Gilbert could be the guy. I mean, Justice Sheffield's pretty young. I mean, Flexen's coming over from KBO. I mean, Dunn looked atrocious today with Paxton being out. I mean, you got Marco Gonzalez and Kikuchi, but they're going to need someone else if they're going to try to compete here early on in the West.
Yeah, their pitching is going to be their downfall. They're not supposed to do anything this year anyways. I like their offense, like I said, even though they've struck out a lot. But that's baseball. That's what happens now. So I'm not really worried about that. Joey Ricotta checking in. Joey Ricotta, what is up, my man? He's really excited about Jamison Tyone and his 7 strikeouts through 4 2/3 inning pitch. But I will tell you this, the Orioles are up 2-1 in that game, so maybe things have taken a turn, Mr. Ricotta. No offense to your, I assume... Do you like the Yankees, Joey, or are you just like Jamison Tyone this year? Because Nick Nelson is now pitching for the Yankees. That was all for Tyone. He went 4 2/3 with 7 Ks, but give up those 2 earned runs, which you want to have your mind blown, dearie. Guess how those 2 earned runs were earned?
I don't know. home run?
That's right. That's right.
No shit.
Two home runs at Yankee Stadium.
Who hit him? Who hit him?
Mr. Mullins.
Cedric Mullins?
Yeah, Cedric Mullins and Santander.
Okay, Cedric Mullins has been a hot pickup in a lot of streams this week. He's leading off for the Orioles, and he's off to a real nice start.
Yeah, I played him fairly heavily in DFS tonight, so that's good news for me. Yay! I also
how many if you're in the box score right now, how many pitches was Tyon at?
I think it was 79. Let me double check.
Okay. They're going to be careful with him early on.
74. Okay. 74.
Yeah, it's probably going to take about a month till he gets up to maybe 90, 95 pitches. They're going to be really, really careful. And they were careful with Kluber last week, too, as he, I think, had 74 pitches.
Well, Means is at 75, and he's pitched 4 innings. It looks like he'll definitely come out for the 5th and try to get the win for now. It's 2-1. Yeah, you're right, though. Tyon is a guy I completely avoided. Some people were really excited about him. That's a positive return on that start today. Gets the Orioles offense, which it's good. It's been good so far. But Joey Ricotta says, nope, not a Yankees fan, just observing, LOL. Big Cubs fan, Joey. How about that? I did buy low on Tyone in a couple of leagues, though. Well, you are looking good today. I mean, 2 earned runs, 7 Ks. That's the kind of start you kind of take right now, because quality starts, those are few and far between. And wins by starters, yeah. Also,
you got Caper 9. You got Caper 9. You're looking nice.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. So that's the way of the future. Deary, do you want to reinforce what you said on Twitter about quality? People were giving you support on the show, you said, and then on Twitter about quality starts, the party's over. Do you still feel that way today?
Well, I mean, quality starts have just gone down a ton. Our good friend Russell Withers actually, shouted me out and retweeted our show, and when I was talking about quality starts the other day and how maybe it's time to go away from quality starts. I mean, even guys like a Blake Snell. Blake Snell was
with his own article, by the way.
Yeah.
Read that article.
Yeah, I will
Russell's
get to
own.
that in a second.
Oh shit!
Yeah. Even a guy like a Blake Snell, he went 5 innings today. You got to get to 6 innings, and Blake Snell pitches a lot of pitches. He had 8 strikeouts today, 4 walks. It's gonna be hard for him to get a lot of quality starts. So, Russell, if you want to follow our buddy Armchair, if you want to type that in there, Mike, he tweeted out today, an article that he wrote about how much quality starts have dipped over the last 6-7 years. It's amazing the percentage it has gone down. Russell wrote a really, really nice article about it. And, championing what I had talked about the other day is if you're in a league where quality starts exist, maybe it's time to get rid of them and go back to wins. I know wins can be frustrating sometimes. A guy like Jacob deGrom is going to win 11, 12 games when you should be winning 21 games over the last few years. Yeah. And you're going to get the rat wins and the rat losses left and right, but quality starts are just not happening as much. Bullpens are a lot more important than they've ever been. It's more of preserving some of these arms, let them go 5 innings, yank them out, and then you're going into a new guy. You have a lot of teams that are going to openers. You saw it a lot last year. I think when we get to midseason, you're going to see it a lot more. Quality starts. Yeah. I still play in a quality start league, but I think it's time to go back to wins.
Let's go back to wins. That reminds me of that movie Lady Killers with Tom Hanks.
I never saw that one. That's a Coen Brothers, right?
It is a Coen Brothers movie. It's not often referenced. It's a really dumb movie, but it's also funny. But it's got this song throughout the whole movie. It comes out. It's so dumb. It's like, let's go back to God. Let's go back to God. So I was just thinking, let's go back to wins. Yeah. All right. You're listening to the Enrico Pallazzo Fantasy Baseball Podcast, part of the Roto Fanatic Podcast Network. Go to rotofanatic.com. Listen to the latest Turn 2 podcast with Matt Williams. He had on Greg Jewett, who is like a master of closers. We have our own master of closers on rotofanatic.com. Mr. Dr. Mike Carter, of course. But Greg Jewett also knows his shit, so we're not going to minimize that. Check that out if you're looking for bullpen clarity. All right, let's get into this segment we're supposed to do here. This is a tribute to Alan Sturrett. Alan, we love you. You're a real big part of the show. Thank you for your contributions, your energy, your support. It's really been, that's why we do the show, man. That's why we do the show. Thank you, Alan. You're a good shit. All right. This one's called Breaking Up is Hard to Do. Players to sell now in keeper/dynasty leagues. How do you feel about making trades within like the first 10 days of the season overall first? I want to get your opinion on that, Deary.
I don't do it. I don't do it, period. I don't do it in my keeper leagues. I don't do it in my redraft leagues. I'm confident with the way I've drafted. If there are injuries, I'm going to have to work the wire. Now, this is league dependent, obviously. I play in a lot of, 12 to 16 team head-to-head weekly category leagues.
Yeah.
I like to make a lot of trades in the offseason, specifically in my keeper leagues, try to get rid of guys that are keepers that I know I'm not keeping, to trade for other guys that I will end up keeping. But I will usually let the first maybe 5 or 6 weeks play out. I feel confident in my strategy of what I've done to create a team, and we'll assess after 5 to 6 weeks. Now, obviously, if there are a whole plethora of injuries on my team, or guys are just really falling apart in those first few days or first few starts, specifically pitchers, maybe I have to pull the trigger. But historically, I have not done that. What about you, Mike?
Yeah, I'm not really motivated to make trades, but I will if something strikes me. I remember I traded Manny Machado away. This is about 2 seasons ago. I think it was his last year in Baltimore. And for Mike Clevenger, James Paxton, some really injured type pitchers at the time. And it was, and a closer, Ken Giles, another one. So yeah, I traded Machado. This is a keeper league, my home league, head-to-head categories, 14 team, OBP, not average. So yeah, I traded Machado for those 3 pitchers. I think around like the 4th day or so. It was the first week for sure. And Machado wasn't that great that year. So I think overall, even though I had to wait out some IL stints, it was a big haul in return, and I didn't regret it. It looked better by the time the season ended, and I think I actually didn't win that year. I lost that year, but it was still a really good season. So was
this 19? Because I think if I remember correctly, 19 was kind of the year where he was good. I mean, whatever year was that his last year with Baltimore, or was it 18?
I thought it was 18. Because his first year.
Okay, it may
He had
have
his
been
first
18
full year
where-
in San Diego in
okay,
19, where he was
Machado
like
was-
so-so.
Yeah, and he was going like top 10 in a lot of like redraft leagues, and he ended up having a so-so season with a really poor start, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly what it is. Well done. So yeah, I'll make a move if I see, especially in keeper leagues, if I see that a keeper's value will fade or my data is telling me that, boom, I will make that move. But it's not common. Joey Ricotta says, yeah, unfortunately the Cubs bats have really not gotten going yet, but they did run into a couple of tough arms in Freddie Peralta and Brandon Woodruff. Freddie Peralta, yeah, looked very, very, very nice. And there's been some walks in his first start. Second start looked more promising.
We might be talking about him in the next segment.
Hey, all right. Sam Jacobowitz is in the house. Sam, good to see you, man. We haven't heard from you in about a week or so. He says he's very worried about Fernando Tatis, as you should be. That's not a ridiculous statement, Sam. He says, I think they're rushing him back, and I think he will re-injure it.
So is there any truth to this, Mike? I don't know if I dreamt it or I heard it, but his shoulder seems to pop out of place frequently.
Yeah, that's what they said. That is a fact.
Okay, so I did hear this the other night. I just wasn't drunk.
But it's related to the labrum tear.
Yeah.
That's why. So it's all part and parcel and connected to the whole story. So this is not the first time it's happened.
Yeah, I don't see them rushing him back. They have too much money invested into this.
They've got a lot of talent. This is what AJ Preller did too. He loaded up on talent for situations like this. So give him credit for that. Sam says, I hope not about Tatis, but I don't have a good feeling. You shouldn't have a good feeling. Just like Deary said, AJ Preller loaded up, he re-signed Profar for a 3-year deal like we talked about earlier in the show, bringing in Hyesung Kim over from the other side of the Pacific for a 5-year deal, which has an opt-out earlier on. So there is a lot of bats on this team, and there's no shortage of talent. And I think this is exactly what AJ Preller was hoping when he made all these decisions, because everybody in the fantasy community is like, hey, what about my fantasy team? These guys never going to play. You're ruining, trade somebody. Almost everybody, including myself, was like, dude, the Padres got to make a trade before opening day. There's just too many players, so.
We talked about an avenue opening up for everybody. I mean, the best teams are going to create depth on their team. The Yankees have already done it by getting Odor for free from the Rangers. The Rangers are going to pick up the rest of that contact. Now, Odor's not going to give you anything, but they need to get some depth with Voit being out. They can shift LeMahieu over to first, and, Odor will probably get some late inning pinch hit at bats. He still has a little bit of power. He won't offer you anything fantasy wise, but this is what the best teams are going to do. They're going to try to stack up and get some depth on their teams.
No doubt about it. I agree with that. Sam also said he traded Tatis away. I don't want to take a chance of him missing huge portions of the season. If it's a redraft league, yeah, I think that's a very smart call. Dynasty, no. But otherwise, dynasty or keeper, you got to hang out to Tatis unless you get a monster deal.
Yeah.
Redraft, you would trade him, wouldn't you?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I just don't know what kind of value you're getting back.
Yeah, I know Zach Waxman, Draft Champions from the Draft Champions podcast, which has a new episode out with Mike the Mouth, which is all about some of the hubbubaloo recently on the Twitterverse in fantasy baseball community. So if you want to know what's going on, check out that episode of the Draft Champions podcast with Zach Waxman. Unfortunately, I wanted to say farewell. Danielle Salinger, wife of Justin Mason, who we are big fans of here. She went off Twitter, though. She's no longer on Twitter. She took a break. She stepped away, having part of it to do with all this bullshit that people were bullying people and being mean to other people about stuff that was completely unnecessary. But also she had some other stuff going on with her, which she was being honest about to me. I texted with her last night. She's like, I just need to take a step away and kind of have some reflection of time. So she'll be back. We miss you, Danielle. We want you to know we're big fans of you on the show. You've been on my first day pod with me and Leanne. You're always very open and supportive of mental health and being kind to people. So just know, even though you're gone, you're not forgotten. You're still around here in our hearts. Okay, so let's cut the shit now on this segment and get real. Give me somebody, dear. Give me somebody that you think would be someone to move on from now.
This is really tough. I wrote down a slew of names, and I'm just trying to figure out. I'm trying to figure out what direction I want to go with this. I was thinking about this actually a week ago, and now he is injured with an injury that he's had before. And his value isn't as high as it's been in the last few years, but there's still a ton of people that are really high on him, and that's Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge has not been able to stay healthy. So I think the difficulty here in a keeper league is what can you get in a return? But Aaron Judge, looking back at the last 4 years, 28 games last year, 102 games in 19, 112 games in 18. 2017, the big healthy year, is rookie year, 52 home runs, 128 runs, 114 RBIs, 18% walk rate, batted 284. He's an absolute monster. This is a guy at that time, he is one of the premier outfielders that you want in your dynasty or keeper league. He also stole 9 stolen bases. If you can get off Aaron Judge right now, I think you should try to find a way to do it. Mike and I, we were talking about this the other day, and we're talking about kind of the slew of injuries. And were you saying that it was Vlad that talked about just how big guys are in the league now and they can't stay healthy?
That was a Chris Towers article a couple years ago, I think.
Okay. Judge is a monster of a man. I mean, this guy is what, 6'7"? I mean, this guy's like a tight end for, the Chicago Bears. He's just a huge guy. And again, he is sitting out today because what does he have? He has a sore left side. The guy takes a monstrous swing, and this is something that has been happening over and over. He's had some knee problems. He's had some back problems, and specifically that side problem. Last week, I would have definitely gotten off of him, and I think you get a lot more value last week. He started off pretty decent, has a couple home runs, 5 RBIs, but now he's in this territory where he's injured. So I don't know what you can get in return right now, but if he comes back and he's healthy, I would find a way to get away from him. I think there's still a lot of value there because he is only 28 years old. He'll be 29. He's on a perfect ballpark with the Yankees. He's a guy that I want to get off of if I'm in a dynasty or a keeper league.
Interesting. That's a great call. He's had a hot start, like you said, 2 home runs and a bunch of RBIs. But
I mean, if he's healthy, he will hit you 45 to 50 home runs, but he hasn't been able to stay healthy. And that's the frustration when you do try to get rid of him, because people are aware of his injury issues that have been happening. And it's not just like fluke, like it's happening every year, and it's based on how he's performing on the field. These injuries are happening on the field.
Yeah, they're definitely happening on the field. There's no doubt about it. Do you feel the same way about Stanton then, or would that be the same?
Same guy in my territory. I think the Yankees are fucked with that Stanton contract right now.
Wow. Okay, now we're talking.
Damn!
That is the kind of hot, fresh takes here. Served up hot and spicy from C. Deary 1999 on Twitter. Follow Christopher Deary if you want more of that on Twitter at C. Deary 1999. I'm at MJ Govier, G-O-V as in Victor, I-E-R on Twitter. Yes, Danielle is the best, Brian. Thank you for supporting her. Sam says, are you guys worried about Keston Hiura? That's funny you mentioned that, because that's actually a guy I was going to mention.
Beautiful segue.
His strikeout rate is awful. It's so bad right now. And if you can make a move now, it's in a dynasty keeper league, he still has a lot of value. That's what we're talking here. We're talking keeper dynasty. So he's got the cachet that you can get a good return on him now, and you're not really selling at a point where you're like, I'll get nothing back. People will still believe in him because it's so early in the season, and he's still 23. I think he's 23 years old. So I actually was really hot on him in the offseason. But then I started looking at this consistent, because he hits for a high average at times, and he can crush the ball, and he can steal bases. He can do everything you want. But you combine his strikeout rate, his whiff issues, with kind of a difficult transition to first base with no DH. There are some pitfalls there. There are some possibilities for a reduction in playing time, believe it or not. And then you're really, really hurting because this guy has a high value. In redraft leagues, you pay a top 75 price from top 80 price. And then in dynasty leagues, you paid something like that a while ago. So I think if you can move Keston here and now, it might be a good time to do so. Maybe I'll look like a fool on this in a couple weeks and everything will look good. But there are some other options on that Milwaukee team where it could cause him to sit out more. And Colton Wong is locked into second base. I don't think there's any worries there either.
So is this something like, I mean, what are you going to get for Hira right now? He's off to a really poor start. Is this something that maybe you wait a few weeks to have him get it going, or you try to get off the boat right now?
Well, I mean, Alan asks us right now, who are guys that you would try to move? This is one of them. I say right now. I think the longer you wait, it's only going to get worse. This K rate, this K percentage is awful. Look at his StatCast page. It's littered with a lot of purple, negative purple, especially down the K percentage line. It's all 30%, 34%. Right now it's at 50. Sure, it's only been a few games, but it's not going down, and the hard hit rate is plummeted. He's not making good contact early on.
I think historically, you're not going to see a guy who consistently strikes out 30% of the time get it down to 12% or 15%, right?
Not right away. It would take work in the minors.
No,
right.
I think the best thing he's doing is he's getting down to like a 25%. I mean, it's going to take a while to really change up that pedigree at the plate to where it's going to be more respectable. 30%, you can't deal with that.
No. And like I said, the Brewers they're a talented team. They have playoff aspirations. And, if you can't cut it, Travis Shaw is on that squad as well. And he looks much, much better. I thought he was done the way he looked last year and his career faltered. But now he's back in business. He's playing third base. He's a corner infield option as well. And if he keeps swinging a decent bat, this is another all dominoes, right? We've all seen the V for Vendetta where the dominoes go down. Any domino scenario on a video screen, you've seen how dominoes work. You know how it works? Well, they're all lined up against Keston here right now. So I would say make a move. Go for it now. Dive on it. Maybe somebody would come on the show and say, you know what, Mike? I would actually do the opposite. I would try to acquire him right now. And that's what we'll do in our next segment. So maybe he'll be on that segment too. I don't know. Not for me, because I'm not going that route.
Good call.
Joey Ricotta says, tough to stay healthy and continuously play at a high level for a man that size. Going back to what Deary says. Completely agrees with Deary on
stuff.
Aaron Judge, the monster of a man, as he said. Deary, give us another one that you would maybe try to get rid of now.
Okay, I have
from a dynasty keeper perspective, folks.
Okay, I have no shares of him right now. He is 30 years old. He is one of the most talked about men in not only fantasy baseball, but baseball alone. And I think he gives you incredible value where you could get a really nice haul in return. That's Trevor Bauer. So now, depending on what the rest of your team looks like, I mean, if you're in contention, in terms of what your squad looks like, and you think you can go and win a championship, and you want to win a championship with Trevor Bauer, go ahead and do that. If you have some other options there that can maybe replace him, or maybe you can get a really nice haul of guys that can help you out now and maybe guys for the future, I would maybe think about moving off Trevor Bauer. Trevor Bauer signed a 3-year, over $100 million contract with the Dodgers. The Dodgers, I truly believe, are going to run him dry there. He pitched 110 pitches today. As I was watching the game today, this guy grunts on every single pitch. He is giving it his all on every pitch. And going back to his debut in 2014 with the Indians, he was consistently throwing a decent amount of innings, 153, 176, 190, finally got up to 213 in 2019, had an incredible season last year. And it's finally all come to fruition, right? He's got the best stuff he's ever shown. He had an amazing season last year. He's had a few hiccups here in the early going. Now, his K rate is incredible. If you play in a K per 9, like, he's going to help you out. He's at 14.21 right now. He was one of the best in the league last year. I truly think the Dodgers are going to try to get everything they can out of him in the next 3 years. He's 30 years old. I think he's going to give great value. I think he's going to be a good pitcher. Is he going to have an ERA that is sub 3? I don't think I see that with him. Even in his first game, he had that no hitter going into the 7th, and then he gave up a couple of home runs. Now, granted, he was in Colorado, but he still gave up 4 in that game. He gave up 2 runs today. I think that ERA probably sits more of like a 3.5, maybe 3.6. He's going to give you a ton of strikeouts, like I said, but I think he's a guy you're going to get incredible value if you can get off him right now. Sure, if you want to win a championship this year, go right ahead. But I think the window could be closing if you hold on to him for too long. And the value right now is just too much to pass up if you can get a really good haul in return. I don't see him as a top 5 starting pitcher in fantasy. I see him more of like the 7 to 10. He's like in my tier 2 of guys. But I think the value that you can get and the return, like I've keep talking about is incredible right now. Maybe throw some offers out there right now. See if you can get some talent to help your team out right now and in the future. So Trevor Bauer is a guy I would maybe think about moving off of.
Huh. That's a great call, man. We talked about this on the last episode, that what are the type of innings you're going to get? Because people said, I'm targeting Trevor Bauer because he'll give me more innings than other starter pitchers. But what are those innings? What are those innings? Man, I dig it. I like that, dear. I think that's a good call. I don't have anything to say negative about that. It generally makes sense to me. It really does. I mean, he's a big name. He's on a team that gets a lot of wins, so you could really probably get a nice haul in return. Yeah, that's it. I'm good. I'm good with it. Let's do it.
Cool. For those of you that are in dynasty leagues and you're listening to this pod, throw out some stuff to us in terms of if you have Bauer and what the rest of your staff looks like. And maybe we can give you some advice on what return you could get. And also, like, what if you could pass on him and let him go based on what the rest of your team looks like. Because I know a lot of people are really high on Bauer, and I think it's that hot name right now that you could really get a lot back for.
Yep. I'm down with that. I'm totally down with that. I like it. I like it a lot. Another guy I'll give you is another pitcher, and this might be piling on, and you're going to say, hey, don't pile on a guy. It's just the beginning of the season. But, you know, Alan asked for this segment, and we're going to give it to him. You want the truth? We'll give you the truth. Frankie Montas. He was no good last year. The A's are a team that maybe we thought they're just always going to be good every year, but maybe that's not this year. You know, maybe it's not the year. I know they got Laureano and Chapman and Olsen, but some of those arms don't look so great right now. The rotation doesn't look so beautiful to me. And Frankie Montas just cannot seem to get on the right track. I don't have a lot to support, except I didn't like him last year. So if I didn't like him last year and he comes out, I know it's the Dodgers too. So you're going to say, wait, it's the LA Dodgers, one of the best offenses in baseball. Sure, that's true. It is. But I think if somebody thinks that Frankie Montas still has a lot to give, this is the benefit of trading early, because there will be people that say, hey, well, you know, dude, it's one start. I'm jumping on this now and you're going to regret it. So that's why I'm giving you these opportunities in dynasty and keeper leagues. Trade Frankie Montas now and go with somebody who's just much more safe and reliable, somebody that you can count on. And I will give you one of those guys in this next segment here. But Frankie Montas is too much of an unknown, and the splitter, is it good? Is it not? Continues to be a mystery, and I don't want to play that game. I just don't want. He's on our tag team, like I said, me and Eric Cross, and we're stuck with him because there's no trades. And we wish there was, because I would like to get rid of him, but I don't like Frankie Montas, and I'm not interested. And if you could sell him,
it doesn't help that he gave up 7 runs the other night. He's a guy who has some nice stuff. He has a nice sinker. Did put together a good season a few years ago. But if you have him on your team, you hope that he, can get it together here and maybe take Mr. Govier's advice and ship him on out and find someone new.
Yeah, someone might be on the other side of that trade and will cash in. It's very possible. This is the risk of trading early, but I think it's a benefit because this guy's the return on his stuff from the batters that are hitting it, bad. There's a lot of contact being made, and it's being made very, very hard for the most part. And he can get people, the chase rate's there, so there's an opportunity for people to whiff at his stuff. But if they're not going to chase the fastball and the stuff that's in the zone, and that's not going to fool them, I think it's a recipe for trouble, right?
Absolutely.
So, all right. So those are a couple of guys. Did you have one more guy you want to mention, or?
I do, but I might go too long on it. Maybe we can save. Maybe we can
just
save
give
him.
it to us. Give it to us. Come on, we want it.
Okay, if you have Casey Mize on your team, I would get rid of him.
Really?
I would. I think Tarek Skubal is the better prospect here. I have a problem with Mize's delivery. He's had some shoulder issues here over the last couple of years. He throws that power sinker, which a lot of people have been talking about, is where those shoulder issues are going to happen, is with that power sinker. His delivery reminds me a little bit of Michael Fulmer. And when I watched Michael Fulmer, it seemed like it was so much arm without using your legs or your core. And I think there's a lot of value with Casey Mize making the rotation, former first first overall pick. Looked really electric in rookie ball and pretty good in A ball. Struggled last year in the majors. Looked okay in his start the other day for the Tigers. I think he's going to have a hard time hitting the zone. He's going to walk a lot of guys, but he's someone that is going to give you some good value based on him being a hot prospect. So if you're a team looking to win right now and someone else is looking to rebuild and likes to build it around some prospects, I think Casey Mize is that guy right now because he's made the squad. He's going to be able to give you, 100 to maybe 120 innings. I have a problem with the way that delivery looks, and I think he ends up running into some injury issues. Now, I don't want to say it because, we are Tiger fans, but I think the guy that you target on that team that you want is a Tarek Skubal. So if someone else has Tarek Skubal and you have Casey Mize, maybe flip those two.
Oh, there's also Matt Manning.
That's true.
Someday. Wow. That is something I'm going to stew on for a bit here because I thought he looked, pretty damn decent in his first start here the other day. I was like, oh, wow. I know he didn't go very long. Nobody goes long, but he looked fairly respectable against the Minnesota Twins squad. That's tough.
His velocity was up too. He was throwing 96, which was nice to see. But
you're still not buying it.
I mean, I'm cheering for him because I'm a Tigers fan, but I'm very worried. I get worried over these number one overall picks, man. They never work out for us.
Okay, yeah, you're right. They don't work out for us. So that could be some Tiger, fear mixed in there, but that's okay. That's all right.
I could be completely wrong on this, and I'll be fine with being wrong on this. He could end up being a Hall of Fame pitcher, never hits the DL at all. And I'll admit it. I'm fine with it. It's just fantasy baseball. It's just It
is. It's all right. We'll go on. Our lives, our hearts will go on, just like Celine Dion's. All right, there it is. So that is some guys to maybe sell now in Dynasty Keeper Leagues. Make those moves. Breaking up is hard to do. It's not easy. Say farewell and move on. Now, on the flip side of that, must adds, but cheap. We're looking for stuff on the cheap here. We're looking to cruise through the less respectable part of town where things are a little cheaper so we can get a better deal. We're going to go to Walmart instead of going to Meijer, something like that. We're going to get the same stuff, but it'll just be cheaper. We're going to go to Red Lobster instead of, I don't know. What's a really nice seafood place? Is Red Lobster nice?
I haven't been to Red Lobster in years. I don't know. Real Seafood Company, if I'm thinking of like Ann Arbor.
Oh, yeah. That's pretty good.
The Gandy Dancer.
Yes, of course, the Gandy Dancer. I haven't not been to I've only been to Red Lobster twice in my life. Once when I was totally broke and I just tried to order food without money. That didn't work in Dallas. And then the second time, we actually went out to dinner. Oh yeah, I was working in Dallas.
You got to tell the story.
Yeah, I got to tell the story. I was working in Dallas, like door-to-door salesman for books. It was a horrible job, and it was hotter than hell, and I was starving. And you had to walk around 14 hours a day. You got to be out of bed at 6 a.m., out on the streets by 6:30, selling books nonstop till like 10 o'clock at night. And they just threw you in a random city too. We didn't even know where we were going when I signed up. They're like, where are we going? Like, well, we'll find out the day you'll leave. I'm like, wow, this is exciting. This is intense. And it was a total disaster. I couldn't sell anything. I hated it. I was just walking around Dallas, Fort Worth all day long in the dead of summer. And I was starving. And I was like, oh, man, I'm just going to go in this Red Lobster and order some food and start eating it. And then maybe I'll get enough of it down my gullet before they realize I can't pay for it. So, yeah, this is a scum move. I was a desperate man. So I order all this nice seafood, like Cajun pasta. I was really excited for it. And then somehow I just kind of let it out. I'm like, yeah, I don't have any money though. Like, can I like wash dishes or something? I'm not sure how the exchange went now because it's starting to be so old. It was 20 years ago this happened, but I started to feel really guilty. Like, oh man, I might get in trouble. So I tried to like leak it out. Like, hey, I don't have any money. Is this okay? And the food was sitting right in front of me. And they're like, no, you got to leave right now. And that's how that went. So.
This is like in the movies and TV shows where this has ever happened. You have to go out back and wash the dishes.
Right. I thought that's what would happen. That's not what happens. They just say, get the hell out of here. So, and they're really not happy at all. So. But Red Lobster? I don't know if it's a classy joint or not. I've only been there twice. The other time I remember Chris Kamen was playing Central Michigan. Remember when they were in the tournament? That really happened once.
That's right. I think they made it to maybe the second round.
Yeah, they were playing Duke, and they got killed by Duke. I just remember that was on the TV screen one night. So
Duke.
Anyways, who are we looking to acquire? We're looking for cheap stuff here. So we're not talking... You can't throw out Anthony Rendon's or like top 10 picks. We're looking to give them people to target who would be a little more reasonably priced.
All right. You want to start? Who you got?
Oh, yeah, sure. Well, for me, there's a ton of them, but Jorge Polanco is a perfect example of a guy who shouldn't be too expensive. He's in a great lineup. He's getting second base eligibility now because he's playing second. So second and short. He hits the crap out of the ball. He's already stole a base this year. I think they're going to let him run a little bit more, so maybe 10 steals is in play. He has never had double-digit steals, but he has the potential to do so. The Twins just they're not a running squad. But I think Jorge Polanco is a guy who's always overlooked, but he stings the crap out of the ball. He scores runs. He could hit 20 home runs, hit 290, and give you everything you'd want from a middle infielder on a really reasonable price. I mean, he's just wasn't drafted that high, and I assume if you're in a keeper league or a redraft league, depending on your keeper size, he probably won't even be a keeper, but he'll be the perfect kind of guy that can help you win your title. And in dynasty leagues, he definitely is a keeper. We're talking dynasty leagues where you're keeping 45 people. Jorge Polanco would definitely be someone that is very reasonably priced, and you won't regret it.
That's a great guy. 27 years old. He's got some time in the league already. He's been up with the Twins since looks like 2016, 17 is when he started getting regular time. So that's a great one right there.
Right? Yeah, it's perfect. I'm all for it, man. I think it's great. I'm very excited about it. So.
I dig it. All right.
How about you, buddy?
I'm going to go with Nick Senzel of the Reds. ADP a couple weeks ago was 232. He had a min of 120. I went after him in a lot of leagues. I got him in some redraft leagues. I might have to try to work a trade here, a little earlier ahead of time than I normally would, because I really like what Nick Senzel has been doing so far with the Reds. He's playing the outfield. He's a guy who has shown in the minors and in the majors that he can hit for power. He can steal some bases. Doesn't strike out a ton. What I've really liked so far is he's got a nice walk rate so far through the first 6 games, and he's scoring a ton of runs. We haven't seen the power yet. We haven't seen the speed yet, but he's in a lineup right now that, I think if he's getting every day at bats, which it looks like it's going to be, he's been batting 6th or 7th in that lineup. The Reds are just murdering the ball right now, and I don't see the Reds slowing down offensively. I think they might have some issues pitching, but I think they're going to score a ton of runs this year, and I think Senzel is a guy who's going to give you really good value this year, and I think he's going to be incredible moving forward. I think he turns into a possible top 100 player. He's only 25 years old, so the ceiling can only get higher from here. And I like Nick Senzel. If you can go out and grab him right now on the cheap, I would request you doing that.
Wow.
I would request you do that.
Are you requesting that? Yes.
I request it.
I've requested it, so let it be done. Dude, Nick Senzel is just stupid, man. It's just stupid. He's so good. He's gonna have that. He's having that year. It's happening right now. We are in it, but he still might be very suspect. Like you said, there might be injury concerns, and people might be like, I just still don't know. I don't know if this is gonna happen or not. But it is. This is the time.
It's one of those things where you hope he kind of goes on like a two week hiatus where he just doesn't do much, and then you scoop him up, and then he's back to doing what he does. But I really like the walk rate that's been going on right now, and I think he might end up getting moved around in that order with the Reds, depending on what's happening with that lineup.
Yeah, man, I think it's a great call. Really, really like that a lot. I am so glad I have him where I have him. I have him in my home league, and I drafted him this year. He was draftable, and now he's going to be a keeper. It's a 10-team keeper this season. I think he'll definitely be one of my 10 keepers. Joey Regatta says, franchise restaurants are dicks. Well, yeah, franchise, me and Deary have had a lot of experience with franchise restaurants. Max and Irma's, Applebee's.
I don't know the last time I've visited
Me neither. No.
I mean, living in Ann Arbor, everything is family owned here, so.
Yeah, but they're here. We just wouldn't go to them anyways. So. I wouldn't go. When's the last time we went to an Applebee's? Maybe 2007, maybe.
Probably when I worked at one about 15 years ago, 16 years ago.
The last time I went to one was when my friend Jeremy worked at the bartender there over on Eisenhower.
Yep. I think I went with you. Johnny T worked there for a little bit too.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. So, okay, so another guy. That's Senzel's great. Polanco's great. We're giving you these guys. They should be cheap enough. Now, I don't know if this guy counts. Maybe he's exploding because he looks really good so far. So maybe this isn't the guy. But Sandy Alcantara looks really solid in his first 2 starts. I already loved him. I've explained it on this podcast many times why I love him. Reduce the walks, the strikeouts will come. It's just a simple equation. If he can locate more, he's got that sinker, which is very, very useful. Keeps the ball in the park. Maybe this is not what you were asking for, Alan, but I still think if you could go out there and somebody doesn't believe in it, do it now, because he's gonna have a fantastic. I'm going to guarantee an ERA under 4.
You gonna guarantee it? Yeah,
I will. I'm guaranteeing it right now. There will be a under 4 ERA end of season for my guy, Sandy Alcantara. Book it. So if you like that sort of thing, he's still only 25 years old. That's the other thing. That's why you want him in your Dynasty Keeper League. Another guy I personally own in my home Keeper League. So, no, sorry, I don't own him. I roster him. I know it's not cool to say that. So, rostering Sandy Alcantara for a long time to come. Do it now. Don't wait.
I dig it. 10 strikeouts the other day.
I mean, that is the unlocking of the formula right there. People are like, well, he doesn't strike out enough, guys. That's it. He's doing it. He did it last year very, very briefly, but now he's doing it.
He had a poor first start, and any of those guys that had difficulty in their first time on the bump this year, I was really checking in to see what they would do the second time out. It looks like he was great.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. Who else you got?
I'm trying to figure out where I want to go with this. I got a few guys on the list here. Pick a number, Mike, 1 through 3. Let me hold on. Let me mark these guys here. 1, 2, 3. This could be very interesting.
Well, in the spirit of that, I've got to go with the old owl commercial from the Tootsie Pop. 3.
Okay, Let's talk about this guy. I think it's more of I just really wanted to talk about this guy.
Wow.
I want to talk about Freddie Peralta. So Freddie Peralta is a guy I think really has the stuff to be a breakout pitcher. So he first appeared with the Brewers out of the bullpen the other day. He's been strictly out of the bullpen the last few years. He's gone 78 innings, 85 innings. The one thing he has is he has the ability to strike people out. In his 3 years with the Brewers, K per 9, 11.3, 12.18, 14.42 last year. And then you're just looking at K percentage this year, 48.3% for K percentage. So he started yesterday and he had 8 strikeouts. He had 8 strikeouts out of the pen the other day. Freddie Peralta is in the rotation this year. I think he's going to give you some really good value. If you're in one of those leagues where you have ratios to where you're doing K per 9 or you're doing, K percentage, Freddie Peralta is a guy who I think can be really, really good. Now, the concern with Freddie Peralta is he walks people. He walked 4 guys today. He walked 4 guys the other day. This is something that has been a problem with him. So in 19 and 20, walk per 9 was a little under 4. In his first year with the Brewers, back when he was only 22 years old in 2018, it was 4.6. Right now it sits at 9. Most projections have him around like a 4 for a walk rate. What he's been able to do so far this year is he's walked guys, but he also hasn't let up a run. He's been able to get out of those jams. If this guy can find the plate more often, he has an electric fastball, doesn't get hit too hard, doesn't give up a ton of home runs in his short time with the Brewers. I think he's a guy who really has the opportunity to break out. He's only 25 years old. Like I said, he's going to be in the rotation. If you can go out and get him on the cheap right now, I think he can give you some good returns this year. And he has the stuff to where he could really turn into a fantasy stud over the next few years, or he's just going to flame out and end up in the bullpen and be a Matt Barnes that can't keep guys off the base. But he's got the electric stuff that I think can give you a little bit of value right now. And if you're, projecting into the future, this is one of those guys that could really end up being a top level guy on your team and can help you out in a dynasty or a keeper.
Fantastic. There it is. Freddie Peralta love. You're down. By the way, I think you said earlier that the A's lost.
Well, you said they were 0-6.
Well,
Did
they
they
were,
win?
but this was their 7th game. I thought
So they won. Okay, I thought.
Yeah,
this
they
was
won
their
in
6th
extra
game.
innings. They
Okay.
won in extra innings. So I want to make sure that's clear before the show ends.
Did they win in the 10th or the 11th? Because I know they stopped the Dodgers in the top of the 10th.
Yeah, Mitch Moreland got it done in the 10th inning. Feeling a
okay.
sense of urgency. Mitch Moreland comes through, who was actually, that's a nice, if Matt Olson's out, you definitely want to get Mitch Moreland on your squad ASAP because he's a perfect fill-in for Matt Olson.
Absolutely. He's been doing it his whole career. You know, he did it with the Red Sox. He did it with the Rangers. Where like he can just fill in and be really good for a couple of weeks. I also forgot this year that it's just like last year. Extra innings, we have the guy on second base. I completely forgot until opening day, and I'm like, oh my God, we're doing this again.
Me too. There's nothing goes past the 10th hardly. There was amazingly the Colorado Rockies and the Diamondbacks went to the couple of extra innings, and it was 10-8 because there's runners on every inning. It's great news for DFS teams because you're going to score more. If a team goes extra innings, you're licking your chops for your offensive players.
Well, and that's what's also frustrating is we had our first doubleheader today, and I forgot that doubleheaders are 7 innings.
Oh yeah, so dumb. Such a bug. Why did they? Okay, whatever. Cool. All right.
Let's save that for another time.
You know, Bauer did have 10 strikeouts today. He looked really good. So
he did.
If Deary's right, this is a great time to move. I'm all for it. I like that kind of forward momentum. Kenley Jansen blew the save, by the way, and it made me wonder why somebody had picked up Corey Knebel in my home league today. So there it is. That's the reason why. Corey Knebel, people, that could be a deep cut. Think about that. Kenley Jansen fails. You got Blake Trinan. Corey Knebel is a former all-star closer for the Brewers before he blew out his elbow. So, okay, I think that's it. I think we covered some players. I don't know if we gave you enough, Alan. I gave you a couple. Did you have one more you wanted to give, or did I blow it?
I can run through a few names just real quick. I like Jared Walsh a lot. If he can get the at-bats.
Yes. Yes.
You know, he sat those first 2 games, and then obviously he finally did come in. I think this year they're going to probably sit him a lot against lefties and give Pujols that kind of farewell. Ryan Yarbrough, Skubal, I like those guys. You know, I was watching the White Sox game last night, and I don't know if this guy is ever going to be able to give any type of fantasy value until he becomes a closer. But Garrett Crochet is amazing. This guy throws absolute gas.
That's another one.
And he has a ridiculous slider. I have him in a saves holds league, and he's been great in his 2 appearances because he's pitched 1 and a third and then 2 innings in his 2 appearances, and he strikes people out. This guy throws absolute gas. I think he is a closer in the making, but it's going to be a couple of years till he actually gets the opportunity.
And in dynasty leagues, people definitely have Garrett Crochet. So if you're trying to go get him, good luck with that. It'll probably be hard to do now. But in redraft leagues, he is rosterable too. You're right.
Oh, he is. He is. I mean, if you're going by the strategy of, especially if you're in a league where you can play a lot of pitchers, I don't think it's a bad strategy to go after middle relievers or setup men that are going to strike out guys, not give up hits, and not walk people. And I think Crochet has the makeup to be one of those guys.
Yep. Yeah, boy. Man, those are great picks, dear. I've been really impressed with Jared Walsh because of what he did in 2020. I was suspect, but he's come right out the gate and he's ready to rock. So he's leading baseball, I believe, in OPS since the start of 2020, which, you know, it's a limited stat based on the short sample size, but still, that's something I wouldn't sneeze at.
Yeah, I mean,
that lineup's a lot of fun too.
Yeah, you don't see, and they batted him second last night. You don't see guys his age that have power. They can also hit for a pretty good average and walk. So like the tool is there. He just needs to get the opportunity.
Okay, yeah, I think that's good. We've covered enough on today's show. Alan, I hope it gave you what you wanted. We gave you some names. Joey Ricotta loves Alcantara, by the way. Crochet, and you can add Kopech to that as well. Yeah, Kopech looks good. And he's not going to start. He'll just be a reliever, but it's a pretty damn good bullpen the Chicago White Sox have. They're a lot of young, talented arms. When the future's so bright, they've got to wear shades. Okay, that's our episode. Thank you so much for listening on the podcast version. And all of you that participated in the live stream, a lot of good comments here. Thank you all so much. I think we learned a lot. I know I learned a thing or two. There's probably still more guys I'd like to talk about, but I don't want to give away all the tidbits. This is a segment we can keep doing because I don't want to spoil everything just yet, Alan. That's a little teaser for you. Don't forget, this is the Hey, it's Rico Pallazzo Fantasy Baseball Podcast, part of the Roto Fanatic Podcast Network. Head out over to rotofanatic.com. Have yourself a ball with our all kinds of stuff we got over there. Lots of fun stuff. Play with the Data Monster. Ask the Data Monster what it thinks of Garrett Crochet. Is it legit or is it bullshit? Who's to say? No one knows for sure. All I know is the Upper Decker Podcast is a podcast you should be listening to. Just miss a show. I'll participate in an hour. Thanks, Upper Decker guys. I assume that's Ty, Tone, and Dan. That's a good crew. Listen to the Upper Decker Podcast. It's more of a baseball-centric pod, but they're good people, and they have a great time doing it. Christopher Deary, when will we get these Shine or Ride the Pine results? When can we expect these?
I'm almost done with them.
I know you are.
Okay,
so
here we go. I'm going to set a date on it. I will have them done Friday afternoon.
You sure you can meet that? Don't put yourself in a situation.
I told myself I was going to finish it today because I had work off at least most of the afternoon. I had some Zoom meetings in the morning, but then as soon as that first game hit at noon, it was like, ooh, yeah, I just got to watch some baseball. I don't want to listen to my old pod and listen to Shine and Ride the Pines. I will give the deadline of Friday afternoon. All of our Shine and Ride the Pines all the way back to Chris Towers on January 6th or 7th or whenever it was. I think it's like over 425, 450 players. All of the amazing guests we have had on. All of our preseason Shine or Ride the Pride predictions will be produced, and I will throw them out there on Twitter and see how you did.
There it is. Now, if you don't do it on Friday, then we'll just do it next week. It's fine. So, okay.
Or I'll release it at the end of the year, and then we'll see how everyone did.
That's right. Okay. Don't forget, Pallazzo Podcast, 2 L's, 2 Z's on Twitter.
Utah.
And Facebook. And of course, sub our YouTube channel. We had much better improved engagement from our previous show after the rough transition out of Periscope today. So nice job, everybody. Coming on over to the YouTube channel, sub it and notify with the dingy bell. And that way you'll know when we go live. And that's it. I'm MJ Govier at MJ Govier. GOV is in Victor IER on Twitter. He's C Deary 1999. Deary as in Deary Beloved. Okay, that's it. Shout out to Yancey Eaton. We'll catch you guys next time on the flip side.